Oh yeah, I also need to fix this. A little drippy drip there. I'm just gonna, this is also interesting because I can't just cut this out and then put a shark bite there because you gotta go in about an inch into the shark bite on each side. Now, when I first came and viewed the house, this was cut off to winterize it. So this has a little play in it. I could push that in probably an inch and I'll be good. Yeah, I should be good with that. Wait a minute. Okay, yeah, it's leaving from there. I should be good with that, but it's this. So I got another shark bite. You see somebody already has a coupler here to probably extend it, but I'm going to have to do the same. I have to cut it like here and put a shark bite in to extend this so that it'll fit nicely in there. Just put the shark bite on that, prep this, put the shark bite on there, and then push this over, and hopefully it still lines up nicely with this pipe there. So yeah, quite a bit to do. Anyway, thank you for watching, and really these are videos that kind of just document this process and teach you guys, like to call it teach learning. Teach you guys some things, and then also I learn from you pros out there who tell me what I'm doing wrong. So I appreciate it, and if you saw any flaws in that logic, which honestly, if I posted this video, I probably already did it, but let me know so I can fix it. And yeah, I'll show you guys the finished product. And thanks for watching. All right, today I'm going to be replacing this T-coupling because of that leak there. I'm going to be replacing it with PVC and a Sharkbite. In addition to that, I'm going to be fixing this repair here from the other day because it's not straight. We want that going straight so it relieves any stress on any of those connections there. And that'll be it. So hopefully this will be quick and painless. All right, so obviously the first thing we want to do is to shut off the water. I had to actually install a pressure regulator here because the pressure in the house was over 120 psi, which is way too much. So upon doing that, I also experienced a few other leaks in other places, but some telltale signs of having too much pressure is leaks from all over the place, particularly coming from the bottom of your water heater. We have water come from that, or the expansion valve there. I think I said that wrong, but the pressure valve, you have water coming from that. It's just because too much pressure is in the system. Another sign is you have drips from random faucets throughout the house, and then just other little drips and potential leaks. So you want to go ahead and get that taken care of and install one of those if you don't have it. So anyway, on to this project. So what I'm going to do, I have a Sharkbite fitting here. I have the T that goes from 3 1/4 to 1/2, and I also have some extra pipe over here that is rated for potable water situations. So once I cut this and I cut that, and once I install the T, obviously this is going to be shorter because I'm cutting out that extra slack here. You know, there's copper probably goes about this deep, about 3/4 of an inch deep. So I'm going to cut that out. So what's going to end up happening, actually, I'm thinking what I'm going to do to make this simpler is to just cut it here. I'm just going to cut and then cut here. I'm just going to cut all that out. And I'm going to replace this with PVC. That'll make the job a lot easier. And I don't have to use a wire brush and scrub all this, because there are some dangers when it comes to wire brushes that you attach to a drill. If you're using a regular, you're doing it manually like that, then it's less of a risk of a piece of wire flying off and hitting you. So I'm just going to cut this, then cut this. I'm going to debur it, and then I'm going to cut this back a little bit here where it's a cleaner connection. Clean that up a bit, and then we'll make our connections. Now, another thing you want to do, you want to kind of go look at the rest of your plumbing here to make sure everything can be adjusted. As you can see, it's already a little bit of tension on this copper pipe anyway. So it's pulled down a little bit. It's angling down there, and then there it's, you can't really see, but it's kind of pulled to the right a little bit. So I need to push it over to the left a little bit, which will help relieve any tension on that joint up there. And this is where Sharkbites really shine, because you can rotate them. I can't rotate that one because of its situation, but they're very rotatable once you get them on there, and so it causes less stress on all of the joints and couplings. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, what I'll be using to cut the pipes are these close quarter cutters. I'm using Milwaukee brand. So far along this plumbing journey, the Milwaukee brand has just been saving me. I've been trying to get cheaping out, and it just hasn't been working out for me. So I'm going to use these 3 1/4 cutters first. It's quite simple. You just snap it on. I don't want to cut it too far. Snap it on like so. You squeeze and you follow the arrow and you turn. Like so. I'm not really doing it. You see it's giving a little groove. I need 2 hands to do it, but that's just basically how you do it. And it gives you a nice clean cut. You can use a hacksaw, but this is going to give you a nice clean smooth cut. Put a bucket under there because it's going to spill. All right, what we're left with is a nice straight smooth cut. Nice and smooth. I'm going to still debur it with the Sharkbite tool, but that's what you end up with. Now I'm going to go ahead and make the rest of the cuts. Measure out this Sharkbite, and we're going to get it going. All right, so I've made my cuts, and I've also deburred these 2 pipes. I wanted to show you how to debur this one. So Sharkbite makes a nifty little tool. It's cheap. It gives you all the sizes, and also it shows you where the mark. So you see my little mark here. You kind of see the outline, but it's good to make a mark. So you find 3 1/4, which is right here. You stick it on there, and you, at that line, it gives you your mark. That's how far over the Sharkbite needs to go. Oh, all right, so to debur it, you do the same thing. You place your tool here, and you just push slightly firmly, and you just twist along. All right, and now you'll have smooth edges. You'll also want to go around the inside to reduce turbulence, and to do that, you'll need this pin. You can use a box cutter or a box cutter, and just go around the insides. I've already done this one, but you go around the insides like so, and it will debur the insides. And you want to do that to reduce any turbulence. But if you're using really good cutting tools, you shouldn't have those instances. I got a little bit more off. You want to be careful doing this as well, because flicking it, going in this direction, I accidentally flicked some in my beard. So be careful with that, and make sure you vacuum once you're finished. So I'm going to go ahead and finish, actually make my connections, and then we'll be done. Go ahead and test it. All right, so briefly recap and give you a little tip. I didn't explain the turbulence. So basically, once you make the cut, if you feel inside, you might feel a little lip. That is what you want to remove. It needs to be straight pipe, because once the water is flowing, it's going to hit that lip and cause a disturbance. It's going to cause turbulence, and that could affect your fittings. It could affect the way the water streams, and over time it could cause a problem. So you want to make sure you get rid of that lip on the inside of the pipe. You want to be careful. Make sure you wear gloves, and you want to make sure that that is smooth and that there's no lip. I still have a little bit of a lip on the top there, but so I'm going to go back through that, but this one is okay. So that is what you want to do. That is the purpose of deburring the inside. All right, and this is the finished product. Notice the lines. I already showed you that one on the copper pipe, but for the CPVC, the markings, you want to make sure you use those, because sometimes it feels like that Sharkbite is all the way on there. Without these lines and these markings, you would never know. And that is probably the cause of a lot of people's leaks. I think another reason why people's shark bites leak is due to them not properly deburring the pipe itself, or when it comes to the CPVC or even the copper or PEX, cutting it straight, deburring it. All those things could lead to leaks prematurely. So this is the end result. Now, I didn't show building it just because it's kind of self-explanatory. I feel like if you guys have any questions, just let me know. But basically on this end, I had a regular Sharkbite. It's just an extender, and then to a T, and I have, like, 1 inch space. I measured it out to have a little bit of space there, about 1 inch. And then after this was kind of quite simple, because all I did was just cut all this pipe off, and then I could just cut the CPVC to length here to make sure it matched. So it lines up pretty much the same way it did before I started. And yeah, it works good. It's actually been a couple weeks. I was actually editing this and realized I never followed up. So it's been like 2 weeks and it's been perfectly fine. One thing you want to make sure before you start these things, as I mentioned earlier in the video, is to have some slack in one of the pipes. Obviously, if this is completely rigid and it couldn't move or anything up and down, or really in this case down a little bit, there's no way obviously you can insert these in there without potentially tearing the gasket, because you got to kind of angle them in there. You could damage the gasket on the inside, and that will also cause a leak. You want everything to go straight in. So I built this out. Actually, I built this, connected this here, and then I built this connected to this pipe, pushed this on this pipe, pushed it down, lined it up. Obviously I couldn't move this because all of that is quite rigid. There's no flex in that whatsoever, but there was flex in this. I held this down, slid it back, and then pushed it into place and called it a day. Yes, it's quite cold in my basement, but it's like 9 degrees outside. But if you have any questions, let me know. If you see any flaws, any issues with my installation here, please let me know. I'm not a pro, I'm not a master plumber or anything like that, but to me, I just kind of feel like anybody could do it with the proper knowledge and the courage to attempt it. Let me know if you see any flaws, and I'll see you guys next video. Got plenty of them coming. Before we end, as you can see, I have all my tools and stuff here. Our trailer arrived, so that was part of the holdup. We have a little issue with our foundation. Now, it's not extreme, and I'll explain why in a second, but as you can see, there's some cracking, but really this is the big boy here. And this crack, this whole piece, it goes up, it's a big gap, goes around, comes down, and it goes down there. So, and it's come up quite a bit here. So I need to know how to fix that. I've looked at a lot of things, and it said, epoxy is the route to go. And then people were saying, a lot of them were saying anchors. Like I would drill and put anchors. Pretty much this would probably only require 1 or 2 anchors going out into the yard, and then anchoring and pulling the wall back a little bit, but mostly it would just prevent it from falling in. And it's leaning just a tad, and so it will probably pull that back, and then I guess you will fill that in with epoxy as well, just to make this look more presentable. But here's the thing with these old houses, this is not the wall to the outside. It's like a 3-tiered thing. So this is like the first step. This is the second. You see that level, and that behind it is the wall. This is the actual wall to the outside. So it's like multiple retaining walls. So you have that one, then you have a second one, then you have a third one, and it's the third one that I'm having the issues with. I think even if this did crumble off, you still have a second wall, second line of defense, and then that one would have to fail, and then finally that one would fail, and the whole thing would come in. Usually on these older houses, you see them, and they're way bigger. Like over here where all this plumbing was, see, it's the same deal. This is like 4 feet out, and this wall retains that wall, that retains that wall, that retains that wall, and that's how you end up with a solid house, and how these things last hundreds of years. But same thing goes over here. This, I have stuff all over it, so it was kind of busted up. But this is an even larger wall that goes out there, and then that is actually the wall to the outside. When you see the actual center blocks, those are outside walls. Yeah, if anybody has some advice there, let me know, because I don't know what to do. I'm thinking about just injecting that with some epoxy and just leaving it as is, because it's not terrible, but it needs some attention in my opinion. Anyway, that's it for today's video. See you guys next time.